Hello, my name is Sam Hallett. I'm 14 and today I'm going to show you something I've made within a video game, and I have been able to simulate one of the key parts of a computer. But first let me just go over binary. So as you can see here, you've got 1, 2, 4 and 8, and these represent binary digits. So each digit represents a power of 2. So if you wanted the next one, you just double 8 to get 16, and the next one 32, and so on. And there are 4 digits, so this is 4-bit, which is the same amount of bits as what I've made. So if you wanted the decimal number 1, you'd do 1. So as you can see, you've got 1, 0, 0, 0. So then, if you wanted 2, obviously you'd hit 2, and then you've got 0, 1, 0, 0. But the problem is, how would you get 3 if there's no digit that represents 3? Well, what you do is you do 2 and 1, and you add the digits together to get the number you want. So 2 plus 1 is 3, so 1, 1, 0, 0 is 3, and so on. So you go to 4, and to get the maximum number you can get with any amount of bit, you add all the digits together. So 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is 15, and that's basically how binary works. So next I'm going to show you what I've made, and then I'll go over the basics of how I made it. So this is an arithmetic logic unit, and an arithmetic logic unit, as the name suggests, it is a unit within the computer that does all the arithmetic and logic. So I'll go over these functions one by one. So first I'm just going to show you what it does without functions. So you've got input A, input B, input A, input B, A, B, A, B. So you input 2 binary numbers, which also explains why there's 2 signs. So what I've got here, so first I'm going to do 1 and 1. Without any functions, this will add 1 and 1. And if you come over here, 0.5, 1, 2, 4, 8. So we've done 1 and 1, and as you can see, it's given us 2. So now that's what it does without any functions, it adds. But if you're probably wondering what happens if you do 8 plus 8. Well, it outputs nothing because the arithmetic logic unit, or ALU, can't handle it. But if you... Oh, I haven't built it yet. I'll just do that quickly now. But if I wanted to have an output for that, we'd have to enable the carry. Oh, okay, that won't work. But what would usually happen is you have a bit of wire here which goes into the next one, or in this case it will go into 16, which I'll explain in a bit. So first I'm going to explain each of these functions. So first we've got not A and not B, and all this does is it inverts A and inverts B, as it should suggest. So if we were to input 5 on input A, which is 1 and 4, here we've got 5, as you can see. But now if I was to invert A, as you can see, this one turns off, on, off, on, whereas last time it was on, off, and it works the same as B. I'll just show you that now. So I'll turn these off. You've got 1 and 4. On, off, invert B, off, on, off, on. So that's what the invert functions do. So now let's go on to the adder functions, and this is where the adding comes in. This is how it adds. So you've got these two heavily rely on what's called the carry, and if I'll show you it quickly now. I'm not sure if I've built it here. No, I'll show you quickly now how the adding works. In fact, no, I'll show you that in a minute. But the carry line is either the two in when both of the inputs are on, this torch will be on, or if both the what's called the carry in or the propagate, which is the output of this bit, is on, or if it's both of them. So the carry in would look like this. You'd put wire into here, and it's like just for this one, it's like an extra input, an extra one. So there's our 1. Remember that's 0.5, and I'll show you the use of that in a moment. So that's what this bit is. It's either the two inputs or the propagate and the carry in, and this is called the carry out, and the carry out is taken to the next digit, or it's the carry in of the next digit, and it just goes on. And that's how the carry works. This one doesn't rely much on the carry. This is what's called the OR function, and usually the adder simulates what's called an XOR gate. An XOR gate is the output is only on if only one and exactly one of the inputs are on. So this is how this works. So you've got 1 and 0, it'll be on. 1 and 1, it'll be off. But the carry, because the two inputs are ANDed, will be taken to the next bit, and because there's nothing on the next bit, it'll just be 2. But if just this one's on, it'll be on again, and if they're both off, then off. And that's how an XOR works. An XOR is made up of an AND and an OR gate. An AND gate is only on if both inputs are on, no less. An OR gate is on if either one or both of the inputs are on. So how this OR function works is in the XOR it completely disables the AND gate. So if we were to disable the AND gate, we'd be left with just the OR gate. So only the OR gate would work. So it would work just like an OR. So if we have both of them on now, it will still output 1. And that's how the OR function works. And next we'll go on to the carry functions. So this is flood carry. So as you know, it's both inputs or the propagate and the carry in. If this is on, the carry out becomes 1. What the flood carry does is set all of them to 1 no matter what the carry is. So it will always be 1. And as you can see, it outputs 2 plus 4 plus 8, which is 14. And that's what the flood carry does. Now the cut carry completely disables the carry line by blocking this signal, which usually runs down. So as you can see, there's no wire here. So now the output of these two will either be 1 or 0. There's no 2. So 1, 0. Oh, I still have OR enabled. So 1, 0. And the 2 wasn't on. Then back to 1 and 0. So that's how the carry functions work. The last one is a carry in, which basically is another one. Now the last function, before I go over the basics of how this is all done, is, which you may see a bit over there, is half function. So this will half the output. So say if we had 2 add 2, which is 4. If we half it, as you can see, it's 4. If we half it, it will be 2. So we enable this, and as you can see, as 2. But say if we had a number like 3, this is where the 0.5 comes in. So if we half it, we get 1 and 0.5. So that's 1.5. 1.5 times 2 is 3. So yeah, that's how, basically how this works is, if it's not enabled, these pistons, which I'll be going over later, will be down and blocks this signal from going up. So it only allows I'll be going over this later, the repeater will put power into the block, which will, the wire will find and it will go in. Whereas if it's disabled, then this one will go through, which will power this, and this will just lead up to this. So that's how half works. Just turn it off. So now I'm just going to be going over the basics of most of these. So we've got redstone levers, pistons, redstone lamps. So first I'm just going to be going over basic input and output, and so this is the first input, the lever. Right click this once and it's always on, until you right click it again, it turns off. And levers and most inputs can feed a signal into a block, which in this case I'm just using iron. So it can be above, and the redstone will find it. And redstone is the name of the wire. I'll be going over a little more in a bit, as you can see there. So it can be above, any side, as you can see, and it can even be underneath if you want. So that's how levers work. And as you can see, when a lever turns on, this lights up, literally lights up. And if it's off, then it turns off. Okay, so redstone has a limit of how far it can travel. So if I just hit this lever, these repeaters will show how far it can travel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And it can go 15 blocks before these are off because the signal can't reach. So that's how far redstone can go, 15 blocks. And there are also different inputs. There's the button, which gives an output for about a second approximately for each time it's right clicked. And then there's the pressure plate, which is always on as long as there's a player standing on it. So now there are different types of pressure plates. There's a wooden pressure plate, which, well, I'll just go over the stone for now, because pressure plates and buttons for this aren't really, they're not used. So pressure plate, while I'm standing on it, it's always on. If I come off, after a little bit it turns off. You can jump on it and sometimes it stays on. Okay, so there's also the, wait, do I go over this later? No. There's also the torch, the redstone torch, and if the block that it's attached to is being powered, it turns off. So as you can see, if this redstone is on, it will power this block, and it will turn off this torch, which will also turn off this redstone, as you can see. Okay, well, there's another use for repeaters. So as you can see with this, it can only go up to 15 blocks. But what if we want it to go more than 15 blocks? Well, we need to use a repeater. And what this does, it allows it to travel another 15 blocks before it needs another repeater. So as you can see, it stops here. I can just add another repeater, and I can do this as many times as I want. So that's one of the main uses of repeaters. Now, as you can see, if you right click, this moves, and this shows how much delay you have. And in this game, Minecraft, the game time is done in ticks. There's game ticks and redstone ticks. Game ticks are a 20th of a second, and redstone ticks, I believe, are a 10th of a second. So the only downside of using repeaters is they always have a delay, even if it's just set to this. So this is 1 tick, 2 ticks, 3 ticks, 4 ticks. And this also looks quite nice, especially at night. Let's use the rain. Now the rain will go. Now there are a few different types of outputs. There's the sticky piston and there's normal pistons. There's a redstone lamp torches, normal redstone if you want. And it's not really relevant, but there's pistons, both types, can push blocks. So if I just put block of iron here, as you can see, it pushes the block. And sticky pistons are able to pull it back in, but normal pistons can't. I keep doing that. But anyway, you've seen what the torch can do, as you can see. And if you see here, a repeater, a repeater's powering this block, but this redstone line can detect it, so it turns on. But you can also have it the other way round, so you can have the redstone go into the block, which powers the repeater. But what you can't have is this, because if it's just like this, then it can't really power. And the reason for this is a repeater can send a signal through a block or receive it. A redstone wire can only receive it if there's a piston powering it, and vice versa. And let me just say this: a redstone wire can go any side, but what it can't do is go up walls. So as you can see, this won't turn on because it can only go up 1 block at a time, so this won't work either. Anyway, now I'm going to take you over logic gates, which are heavily relied on in the ALU. So these two, this is an AND gate, and like I said earlier, still off. This one will only turn on if both inputs are on. And how this works is this wire is powered by both of these torches, but the wire is also powering the block underneath, which is turning off this. So to turn on the input, you need this wire to turn off. And the input is inverted. So this lever is on, but the torch... Well, this lever is off, but the torch is on. So you need this block to be powered, which will turn off this torch. But this one is still being powered. But if you just do this, this is still powering this redstone. So if you turn both on, both of these will go off, the redstone will go off, and the torch will be able to go on, because there's nothing powering it. So this is an inverter, or a NOT gate. And this inverts the input. So if it's off, it's on, it's on, it's off. And this is just basically an input that's powering a block, which can turn off a torch, and this inverts it through the torch. So it's on, it's off, it's off, it's on. And now this is... I'm not sure whether this is really counted as a proper gate, or it shouldn't be, because all it is it's an OR gate. So if one of the inputs are on, or both of them, it turns on. So it only needs one, and these are two more designs. These are both OR gates. So as you can see, goes in, it's in, and so on. And you can even do it like this. So I'll just do this for now. You've got that, you've got that. And if you don't want the input to go both sides, the repeaters also act like a diode. Because what happens in repeaters is it only allows the redstone to travel one way. So it'll go through here happily, but it won't go in through here, here, or here, as you can see. So it can only go through the back bit. Now I'm going to go into the logic gates that are actually used in the Arithmetic Logic Unit. These are both designs of what's called an XOR gate. And as I explained earlier, if only one of the inputs are on, then the output's on. This design I used for the invert function, because it can fit in basically a one block, whereas this design is 3 blocks wide. Well, it's technically 2 blocks wide, this one, but this goes through all of the XORs for each input. So an XOR gate I sort of used it for inverting. You can toggle and invert, and why that works is if this one's off and this one's on, then it turns on. It's the inverse of what this is. If this turns on and this is off, the invert is disabled. And now if it's enabled, well, this is on, this is off. And that's how I used it as an inverter. And this is the design I used for the binary adder. This design is what adds the binary numbers, and you can sort of see it here. It's easier to see here. So you've got this, and I've just built it again over here. So as you can see it work. You can also use this as invert, but it's not practical. It's 3 wide, and you need to really make the ALU a lot bigger. So you've got 1 and 0, 0 and 1, 1 and 1. So it works the same. And how the OR works is basically you might not be able to see the AND yet, but look at what we have here. We have 2 torches which power a piece of redstone which powers another torch. So, but just forget about what it looks like and have a look here. You've got 2 torches which power a piece of redstone which powers a torch. So this is an AND. You've got an AND in this XOR, and I'll just build the AND here so it's easier to see. So we've got 2 torches, piece of redstone, and it powers a torch. And as you can see, it still works as an AND gate, but there's no need to use this as an AND gate unless you're using an XOR. As you can see, the torch turns on when both of them are on. So there's the AND for the XOR gate, but there is also an OR, and that OR is here. So you've got the OR is actually these here. So if I just build these, it still works as an OR. So let's forget about the AND part. Forget that it even exists, just for now. So let's have the redstone here so it's easy to see. We've got 1, 1 in both of them. So there's the OR. So the XOR is basically just an AND and an OR, even here, though it's hard to see. I can't really see it, but it's there. So this is how the OR functions. As I said earlier, if you get rid of the AND gate, you're left with just the OR. So if this redstone is always on, this torch will never go on, which is the output of the AND. The AND will never output a 1. So if we keep this torch powered, this will simulate as just an OR, because the AND can't function. We've disabled the AND completely, and that's all the OR does. So now we're going to go into how the adder works. The adder is quite simple, really. We've seen these, it's just 2 XOR gates. It's 2 of these. Our inputs are here, and our output is over here. So we've got 1 add 0 is 1, 0 add 0 is 0, and 0 add 1 is 1. But if we were to do 1 add 1, it's 0. So taking an XOR into another XOR, it does nothing. So at the moment we need to output 2, but there is no 2 output. So to get around this, we need the carry out. So to do the carry out, this is basically the inverting this redstone here, and this torch is basically on if both of these, only if both of these are on. So, and this torch is if this one, the propagate, and the carrying are on. So if we were to just do that, then this one will come on, because both this and this is on. So I think only one of these can be on at a time. So for now I'm just going to do this. Get out of the way. No animals were harmed in the making of this. But so now we've got this ANDed and this ANDed, so we need to OR them, and this is basically an OR. So if one of them are on, it's on. So now if we were to have another one of these, once the sheep gets out of the way, I'll just quickly build another one. So this is exactly the same adder I used in the ALU. It's exactly the same, just easier to see, because it doesn't have all the functions. So we've got the XOR and the next XOR. And this is our 2 output. But we have excuse me. So let's just turn this off. We have 1 and 1. So we need 2 to turn on. So what we do is, this is the carry out, and as you know it goes to the carry in. So we need to take this wire into the carry in, like so. But if we were to add the propagate to this, there's a problem. Because now the carry out not only powers the carry in, but it also powers the propagate, so it does 1 and 1. But if we were to build the next carry out, then this will be filled, which blocks this. So you just go into the next one. But if you don't want to do anymore, then all you need to do is put that block with nothing on it. And as you can see, we've got 1 and 1, and it now outputs 2. And this is how I tackled the adding in the ALU. And this is, and as you can see, to do the cut carry, we just block this. And now it can't carry to either be 1 or 0. And I've used a piston to push this block down as the cut carry. So when the piston receives power, it turns on, which pushes this block down, which completely blocks this signal. And that's how the cut carry works. And that's how our adding works. And the shift is quite simple. I'll just go over it here. So when, say if we had an output of 4, it'll take the signal not only into here, but it'll also take it to here. Now, both of these, so if, let's just say the shift is off for now, which it already is. So this will turn on, because this repeater powers this block, which turns this wire on, and this wire, but that's irrelevant for now. But if the shift was to go on, this repeater would come up, but repeaters can't power this, only this one can. So this will turn off, but this one will turn on, because this redstone wire can now travel up here. The signal won't be blocked. So if I turn the half function on, or the shift, this can now get up there. So when this repeater's powered, this becomes powered, and it goes into here. So that's how the shift works. I'm now going to show you some combinations of functions you can do which simulate different things. First, we're going to subtract. Let's just do 2 minus 1. So, this has an adder, as you can see here, but how would this subtract if an ALU, well, an ALU never does A minus B. That never happens. But it can do A plus minus B. So what you do is you invert B. But because this is 1, 1, 1, 1 now, you need to make these all 0. If you add another 1 to this, then you get 16, just 16, because it's already 15. Add 1 is 16. Now, this ALU can't really handle 16 unless you add the carry. So, that 16 is non-existent, so it appears to be 0. So now, we have A plus negative B, because if you invert 1, you get minus 1. So, if we were to do, I hope I've got this the right way, 2 minus 1, we don't get 1. It's the wrong way round. Because A needs to be bigger. So now we've got 1. And as you know, 2 minus 1 is 1. I'll show you with bigger numbers. Let's do 6, which is 4 plus 2. Take away 1. That's 5. And as you can see, got 4 plus 1, which is 5. So that's how subtraction works. You can also get different functions. So say if you want OR, you need to disable the and you just enable OR. So if we get 1 and 1, oh, B still inverted. So if we get 1 and 1, and because we don't want it carrying through, we want to cut the carry and disable the carrying. And that, I'm not sure why this is on. Oh, it's because this is still on. So we've got 1 and 1. Do we need to cut the carry? No. So as you can see, it's ORed 1 and 1. And as you know, an OR gate, its output is on if either one of them or both of them are on. So this will still be on. And there. So, it also works with any, really. So you've got 4, still doesn't output 8. Turn this one on, it will still be on. As you can see. Nah. Now, the only problem, I do actually have plans to turn this into a full computer. So, I'll probably make a video on that, although it will go quite slow. But there is one problem with making big designs like this, and that's delay. Because as you know, repeaters always have a delay. And what also has a delay is a torch. If you put a signal into a torch, it takes 1 tick for this torch to recognise this. So it's 1 tick. As you can see, it's not instant. And that's the only problem. So the actual computer will have a block used called a command block. So if I just, in fact, I'll leave it for now, but command block can have like different functions in. So as you can see, I've got this small chat bar in the bottom left, and for any command you do slash and then your command. So as you can see, there's some of them. I'm not sure if it's all of them, but this is going to use slash set block, and as you can see, you have X, Y, Z tone, and you've got all these. All you really need for set block is slash set block, X, Y, Z, and tile name. So I'll do slash set block, and to do like a position relative to you, you do this. So if it's 2 blocks away from me on X, that'll do X plus 2. So it's 2 to X plus the player's X position plus 2. Then I might want to do the same Y, the same Z, and then redstone block. And as you can see, it created it 2 blocks away from me. Let me explain a redstone block quickly, because I don't think I did. So, a redstone block is always on, no matter what, even if it receives a signal. So, say if we don't want that redstone block to power anything, what I can do is have a sticky piston attached to this and pull it back, and then I can push it forward when I want to turn it on. I probably won't use something like that, but it's useful to have. Now, what I'm going to do is, well, I'll tell you some of my plans if you just give me a moment. I have some notes on my iPad of what I want. So, just give me a moment. Yeah. It's going to have all of these functions in the ALU, but it will also have a graphics processing unit or a monitor or a screen, as you probably have on a computer or a phone, and it's going to be 20 by 20 pixels, because 1 pixel, how I'm going to have it, is 2 by 2, because it's really, so say if you wanted 1 by 1 and you had like 6 and 2, it's going to be really hard, and it's going to be really slow on trying to get all these powered, because even if you power this, it's going to be, you'll need a way to power this, and you'd probably do something like that, and it's just going to be, but then you might have something that needs to go on that, and it's just going to be really hard and awkward to make. So my solution to this is having it 2 by 2, and all you really need, it's actually quite simple. If I just bring it 3 back, so you've got 3 pixels here, you're going to have this. But if we now repeat this pattern again, we come into this problem, because if you try and do this, it powers all of them. So there's actually quite a simple solution. On this one, you just do that. So now you can power these separately. But it only really works properly for pistons, but I'll show you with pistons actually. Pistons and blocks are the simplest to use, because all you need is, now these will be powered into groups of 2 by 2 or groups of 4. It's not as effective, but it's simpler. So you have this, only these 2 are powered. This, these 2 are powered. Oh, I need to. This, there, these 2 are powered. And for this one, all you need is those two and that one, and I tend to have one here so it's all synchronized, so they all move at the same, they all do it at the same delay. So that's 1 tick, 2 ticks, this 2 ticks, 1 tick, 2 tick, because if we just have this, it's 1 tick, because both of these are powered at the same time, so it only counts as 1 tick. And that's how my graphics processing unit will work. I'm also going to have memory cells and registers and things like that. So the reason I'm using the command blocks is for something called busing, and busing is transferring a signal from one place to the other, but sometimes things can be really wide apart, so to get there you need a lot of repeaters, and that means about a 15 tick delay. So what I'm going to do is use a command block, to use a set block command to instantly transfer it, to create a redstone block at where you want it to be transferred. And what I do have planned, which will actually use, I'm either going to use, there's 2 ways I'm going to do this, but you'll be able to write your own programs. Program memory is quite simple. So what you'd have is your commands along here, and this is where you'll program it. So you'll have your wire going across each of these, and I'll just show you. This is if you want to, this isn't literally how you do it. All of this will be automatic. So you'd have your commands. If I just get a lever out, so the torches are turned off until this one is hit, and these will run these torches alone will run a command that's set. So first this line will run, then this line, then this line, and so on, using a go to. And this will, so this is line 0, 1 and 2, and the go to you'll be able to customly program which line it will go to, basically. But I'm going to have something that automatically does all the programming for you. I have 2 options, and it really depends on what's going to be the most, well, so my first option is to write a program in Java in which you can enter lines of code and it'll automatically, and then it'll compile that code and it'll add set block commands into the console down here by simulating button pressing, and this will really quickly just do set block, set block, set block, and create torches in the right place. Or I could have a huge panel in which on one column you choose the line you want to program to, and then in a really big part here you'll have buttons, and these buttons will add torches based on what command they are into the right line, which is based on here. So I have a choice between those 2. I'm not sure which one will be quicker, so I'm going to just have a think about it. But once if I completely finish this computer, I'll make another video on it and show you it running. And that concludes my video. I think I've gone through everything, and it's been quite a long video, and I think I'm going to end it there. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.